Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Stephen Howson. The season might be drawing to a close and it might be on hold, I guess, for now. So it feels like as good a time as any to look back at what we have learnt about Manchester United this season and what we've learnt about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this season. So here we go. This is 5 things that we've learnt about Manchester United this season. In at number 1 then, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's signings have been largely successful. In the summer, we saw him bring in Dan James, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire for 80 million, 50 million, 45 million and about 15 million pounds. A whole spectrum of different signings there. You've got a young up-and-comer there in Aaron Wan-Bissaka signed for a very high price. You've got a player who was just around about the peak of his game in Harry Maguire, which is why he went for such a high price, plus the English tax on top of it. And then an absolute unknown in Dan James signed from the Championship. We also signed a couple of players then in January, but let's talk about the ones that we signed in the summer at first. All 3 of them went straight into the starting 11. All 3 of them immediately impressed. All 3 of them have probably had one negative about their game or hit some sort of a period where it didn't quite go off for them. Harry Maguire kind of had his at the start. It seemed like it was a bit of a settling in period for him. And he was good, ordinary to good, and ordinary is not bad. People think ordinary or average is bad, but it's literally not. It's literally just like kind of all right. Harry was just all right, but since he's been given the captain's armband, the last 2 or 3 months, he's gone like this. He's hit some unreal trajectory that makes him worth that £80 million. He is our leader at the moment. He is our literal captain. One of the fastest players we've ever seen to be awarded the captain's armband at Manchester United. Didn't think that was a good thing at the time. It might be the right thing as we currently sit. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he came in and made an immediate impact with how good his tackling is. It's actually freaky, and it's actually so good that most United fans, I think, would go, do you know what? If he gives away 3 penalties a year, it's fucking worth it. Because his tackling is so good. I've never seen timing on a human being as good as it is on Aaron Wan-Bissaka. The issues with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, well, the issues that we knew about before we signed him, we didn't sign him and go, I didn't know about that. What we saw when he was partnered with Zaha at Crystal Palace is we saw someone that didn't need to do what he's being asked to do at Manchester United. And when he was given those opportunities, he didn't look impressive. And that's what we've signed. We've signed a player that when he gets into those attacking positions, he doesn't look impressive. At times he's looked awful. At times he looked like he doesn't know what he needs to do, but it is improving. And I think that's coaching. I think that's Carrick. I think that's McKenna. I think that's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think everybody's got a grip of him and everybody's rallied around him a little bit. And he's starting to understand his role within this team. From a defensive point of view, oh my God. Oh my God. There is nothing matched. I mean, Raheem Sterling is still waking up having nightmares about how bullied he got with him. He's been phenomenal. And obviously, the final one there, Dan James. Dan James came in on the back of losing his father, moving to a Premier League team, being thrust into the limelight of playing regularly because of how weak our squad was. And I think he coped with it mentally fantastic. Of late, he looks well off the boil. But I think that's a natural rebound from everything that happened. I think adrenaline takes you through a certain period and then it starts to massively fall off. And I think that's what we're seeing with Dan James. And I have no concerns about him in the long term. It's just one of those natural cycles that a young person goes through as they're adapting to the level that they're now playing at. But Dan James, 27 appearances, 3 goals, 6 assists. That's not a terrible return for your debut season in the Premier League. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, 26 appearances, 7 clean sheets, 99 tackles, 53 interceptions, 145 ball recoveries, 175 duels won, 43 successful 50-50s, 0 errors leading to a goal. And obviously captain, leader, and maybe legend in the future, Harry Maguire, 29 appearances, 8 clean sheets, 32 tackles, 54 interceptions, 31 clearances, 92 ball recoveries, and 189 duels won. These guys have literally made our defence as good as it is. Those 2 alone, with a little bit of help from everybody else in the squad as well. Then we come to the 2 signings in January. Never does anyone have a January window where they have such a success like this. We signed, forget that it's Ighalo, forget that it was someone that was largely successful in the Premier League, apart from his last season where I don't know what happened. Maybe he tossed it off totally, but he wasn't himself in that last season at all. You sign a striker from China and you go, fucking hell, is that what we're resting our season on? But he's been phenomenal. 8 games, 4 appearances, 1 assist, 3.5 shots per game. Have you ever seen anyone taken to by the Old Trafford crowd as good as Ighalo? It's absolutely phenomenal. And do you know why? It's because he's one of us. He is one of us. He's a United fan, and you can see it in the way he plays and how enthusiastic he is. Whatever his issue was at Watford, whatever the reasons for going to China, he's at the right club for the right reasons, and he looks fantastic, especially considering he's the backup striker. Fucking brilliant. Bruno Fernandes, 9 appearances, 3 goals, 4 assists, 3.7 shots a game, 3.3 key passes per game, which is well higher than anybody else in the squad over the course of what they've done in the season. He was, I don't want to say the missing piece, because there's still pieces that we need to get in, but he's been a fundamental improvement in the squad. He's so quick on the ball. He's so intelligent with his movement and with how early he plays the ball and how he brings others into the game. How many times have you seen him just leave a ball? A ball coming straight to him, and he just leaves it. And the defender doesn't realise and goes with him. He's absolutely quality. He's got the right temperament for this team. You looked at all the stats that he had in Portugal, and you go, there's absolutely no chance that he's going to be that good. No way is he going to have anywhere near them stats. But guess what? He's getting anywhere near them stats. I mean, it's ridiculous. I can't wait to see what he does with a full pre-season and a settled squad that's been built to his preferences as a player and his attributes as a player, because I think you're going to see something genuinely special. Number 2, the kids are all right. This season, due to the lack of squad depth and, of course, Ollie's got the trust of the youngsters, we've been able to see Brandon Williams and Mason Greenwood really impact the squad. Obviously, Mason had made his debut last season, but we're really starting to see these players start to actually impact the squad. There was at one point that it was a certainty that Brandon Williams was the best left-back in our squad, possibly in the running for being in the Euros if they had happened this summer. It looks like Luke Shaw's probably regained his place for now. But both Mason and Brandon have had incredible seasons. The sort of season that if I'd have said this to you back in July or August, you'd have been like, that's not happening, Steve. It's just not going to happen. We've also seen Jimmy Garner and Dylan Levitt against Astana with good performances. We saw Ethan Laird. We saw so many players that are going to be the future of Manchester United this season, and that's thanks to Ollie. And yes, we might have lost in Astana, and yes, he might have only done it because he won the group, but he'd earned the right to do that. And he's also doing it. Like against Paris last year, we saw Chong and Mason brought on, and this is just who Ollie is. I think he really genuinely believes in the youth, and I think he gives them the opportunities. Brandon came in and absolutely sent a rocket up Luke Shaw, give him some much-needed competition because he was clearly cruising, and it actually has increased the output and improved what Luke Shaw's doing. This has been much needed. Competition for places is great, and it's even better having a youngster that's pushing for the places, because you know that they're generally willing to accept being second fiddle. You know that they're not on massive wages, so it doesn't really upset the balance of the squad having a player on £500,000 a week sitting on the bench while someone with that first team sort of status is like on the pitch or whatever. So I think having loads of youngsters in around, much like Mason Greenwood, is a massive thing for it. He's played fantastically in numerous games. He's come in, he's got character, he's got an edge to him, and there's a real quality to his game as well. Chipped in with some good goals. And similar to that, Mason Greenwood, he's also come in and he's had an incredible season for an 18-year-old. 12 goals, 2 assists, 14 goal involvements in 36 appearances, which sounds like a lot, but when you look at the goals per minute, he's got a far better goal per minute ratio than Anthony Martial's got, for example. Just imagine what he's going to be like when he matures. He's going to mature physically. I think he's got some big fellas in his family, so if he goes the same sort of trajectory as them, he's going to be a fucking monster of a number 9. He's still learning his trade. He's still developing as a footballer, but he's doing absolute madness at the moment. I can't wait to see what he's like when he get a couple of seasons under him. And then the likes of Levitt and Garner and Laird, if them guys go out on loan, I expect big things from wherever they go and whatever they come back doing after they've done it. Number 3. We have goal scorers. So, on the topic of how well Mason Greenwood is doing, we also have quite a few goal scorers. We've got Marcus Rashford, who's on 19, but let's be honest, it's 20. You've got Anthony Martial on 16, Mason Greenwood on 12, all into double figures. United have got goal scorers outside of that as well in Ighalo and Bruno, and this has all changed probably on the back of bringing in Bruno Fernandes. He was player of the month for February, where he created 7 chances in the Premier League, more than any other United player. And with Bruno in the side, more chances are going to be available for the forwards that we've got. Something that we massively lacked once Pogba got injured. Goals is not something United need to worry about at the moment. Number 4, we need more signings. It was evident at the start of the season. So many of us were saying, do you know what? I kind of like our team. But if we get any injuries, we're fucked. Well, we got the injuries. We got injuries to Scott McTominay, Paul Pogba, Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial. They've all been out at some point in the season, and it's had a drastic impact on the ability of our squad. You've seen just by bringing in Bruno and Ighalo the difference that they made. Well, imagine that we'd have had Rashford all the way through, and Anthony Martial all the way through, and Paul Pogba all the way through. I don't think we'd have been scratching around, are we going to get into the top 4? I think we'll be comfortably inside the top 4 and putting pressure on the top 3. I think the squad is getting there. It's almost there. We don't know for sure yet who's going to be leaving in the window. I'm sure there's going to be some. So to get back where we once were, we need to sign more players in the mould of Bruno. Players that come in and you go, well, he's first choice. It's not about, well, yeah, he's a good player. Yeah, he's a good player. No, you go, no, if he's fit, he plays. Pogba's in that mould. Harry Maguire's in that mould. Bruno is definitely in that mould. You sign someone like a Sancho, he's definitely in that mould. You sign someone like a Sal Niguez, he's definitely in that mould. That's what you've got to do. Improve the first 11. Once you've got an 11 that you're happy with, you start adding depth to it. I think Jadon Sancho massively helps out with that right wing issue. It sounds like all the noises are pointing towards him being a Manchester United target, if not definitely getting him in the summer. Someone like Jack Grealish could come in and bolster. Maybe that wouldn't be quite that first choice kind of player, but he's definitely got class, and I think he would probably play 80 to 90% of the games, but there might be times when you just go with a different option depending on the tactical need of the team. But United need loads of those signings, and it's going to take a minute. Which brings me to number 5, and that is trust the process. This isn't going to be quick. The transitions don't happen overnight, and you've seen, even with the likes of Liverpool, how many seasons it took them to get to where they currently are, and they still might not win the league. You need to trust in Ole and the process that he's putting in behind the scenes. I think that run after he was made permanent boss has impacted a lot of people's decision-making on Ole. But if you look at the cold, hard facts, yes, we went on an unbelievable run under him as an interim, and people like to dismiss that, but I think that run under him as an interim shows just how good of a man manager and a motivator that he is. And that's a key part of being in this job. I think what you saw in the summer with his signings is that he's got an eye for the talent and the team that he wants to build. And I think what you saw from Christmas to now is a resilience in the team. He knows how to set them up, and he knows how to get the team to play to what he's trying to get them to do. I've seen loads of people criticise him for playing the same team and formation time and time again. And I'm seeing the same people criticise him for mixing it up and going 3 at the back or 5 at the back because they say it's too defensive. Well, okay, maybe it is too defensive in your mind, but we're winning those games. So that's not fucking defensive. I think some of you have slept on how defensive we were under Jose. Jose wouldn't try to win those games. He would try to not lose them games. Solskjaer comes in with a plan on how to win those games. Trust the process. I think this guy's getting it. And like I said, he might not be the guy that wins us back-to-back-to-back titles. He might not be here for 25 years. In fact, I don't think he's either of those things. But he's better than what we've had, and he's certainly moving it in the right direction. Until there's an absolute must-have manager that is available and on the market, Manchester United needs to stick with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and allow him to see his vision, because I think we're going to win some silverware. Our performance under him in the big games tells me that you get that guy to a cup final and that guy brings a trophy home. Thank you guys for watching. In these tough times where obviously I'm in my shed making all of this sort of stuff, we haven't laid anybody off from the studio. There's about half a dozen of us that work in the studio making content for my channel, for Patreon, for Stretford Paddock, for MMA Latest and everything like that. We want to keep everything going. We're all working from home. We're still trying to make the content. If you would like to support the channel, then please check out the Patreon link, which is in the description below. If we get about another 500 or so Patreons, we won't need to lay anybody off. We will be able to survive all the way through this, and that would mean the absolute world to us if you was able to do that. If you can't, then please just give the video a share, because that helps as well. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.